Coming up on Newswatch, an Ohio mayor is in hot water over comments about ice fishing.
Then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty?
And the White House warns Americans to leave Ukraine as tensions escalate.
We don't know exactly what is going to happen.
Plus, your Super Bowl party this weekend might cost more. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Roman.
And I'm Fallon Howard. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Multiple medical marijuana dispensaries are looking to set up shop in the area. There have been 284 applications for the 17 allotted licenses allotted for the Southeast Ohio region that includes Athens, Meigs, and Benton counties. The applicants were ranked through random drawing last month. The top-ranked applicant is for the site of the former Wild Horse Cafe on Main Street in Pomeroy, once a popular destination for the community and tourists, but has been closed since a fire 2 years ago. The property is listed for sale for $550,000. Athens is currently home to the only dispensary operating in District 6 that was a part of the 60 initial licenses in 2018. An Ohio man arrested for directing obscene language at law enforcement's civil rights lawsuit will continue. Michael Wood was arrested in 2016 for disorderly conduct after being asked to leave a county fairgrounds in Southwest Ohio. The misdemeanor charge was dismissed, but Wood sued a group of Clark County Sheriff deputies in 2018, claiming his rights were violated. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals three-judge panel ruled that Wood's speech is constitutionally protected and sent the lawsuit back to the U.S. District Court where the case was previously dismissed.
Intel is announcing the first job openings for its $20 billion project in Greater Columbus. The semiconductor company is looking for a range of engineers and managers. No salary range was posted with the opening. The Columbus Dispatch reports Intel's plan calls for 2 plants to be built on land for its new campus. New Albany plans to annex this land from Jersey Township in Licking County. The openings have been posted in several places beyond Intel's website, including LinkedIn and OhioMeansJobs.com. Intel will need the positions filled as it begins to hire companies to build the plant. The 2 plants will employ 3,000 workers with an average wage of $135,000.
So we saw really warm temperatures today with temperatures in the low 60s. And then we did also have gusty winds throughout the day. We did have a report out from the Athens airport of a wind gust up to 41 miles per hour. But right now we do see winds at around 15 to 20 miles per hour out from the southwest. We will have rain move through the region this evening. Right now Columbus is at 48 degrees as the cold front moves through. But before the cold front moves in, we're going to continue to see dry weather with really low dew points. And so we do have a special weather statement out for high fire danger through 8 p.m. And we're going to continue to see temperatures at around 62 degrees as we head towards the south. But those temperatures will continue to drop off through the evening. And looking at my full forecast later on for Super Bowl weekend, we're going to see rain overnight, colder temperatures this weekend, and we're also going to see dry weather. I'm going to be handing it back to Olivia.
Thank you, Henry. An Ohio mayor is making headlines for unusual comments he made at a city council meeting. He was against allowing ice fishing in city parks because he thought it would lead to prostitution. Jim Nelson has more about the community's reaction to the mayor's remarks.
The words spoken behind these doors simply could not be made up.
If you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem: prostitution.
That's Hudson Mayor Craig Schubert in the middle of a city council discussion on allowing ice fishing at Hudson Springs Park.
That's a new one for me.
Captain Tony Muschiani is an ice fishing charter guide on Lake Erie. He was a bit surprised to hear the mayor's comments.
It's pretty far-fetched, I can tell you that. Shanties are for ice fishing and not for what, they're not the most comfortable thing out there.
At the park, most people were familiar with the mayor's assertion. Others only heard about it when we showed them the video.
To go from ice fishing to prostitution, I think it's far-fetched.
Last year, Schubert demanded resignations from the Hudson School Board, claiming a writing assignment for a college credit class amounted to child pornography because students were asked to write about sex.
Either choose to resign from this Board of Education or you will be charged.
The Summit County Prosecutor's Office condemned his remarks. I reached out to the mayor by email to offer him a chance to elaborate on his ice fishing claims, but I never heard back. So I went straight to City Hall. Unfortunately, the building was locked by the time we got there.
The Hudson mayor has not responded for WOUB's request for comment. West Virginia lawmakers have advanced a proposal that would allow unemployment benefits for those that are forced to leave their job because they are denied a COVID-19 vaccine exemption. Republican Mark Maynard is a sponsor of Senate Bill 576 and says the legislation was designed with healthcare workers in mind. A number of West Virginia hospitals have mandated employees be vaccinated against COVID-19, including two of West Virginia's largest, West Virginia University Health System and Charleston Area Medical Center. People who out their jobs usually aren't eligible for unemployment unless they have a good cause to leave work.
The Republican-led West Virginia Senate has voted to rescind the state's 1972 ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment, declaring the state ratification expired in 1972 and is no longer valid. The Senate adopted the measure today by voice. All 23 Senate Republicans were sponsors of the measure. It passed without debate or discussion and now goes to the House of Delegates. West Virginia ratified the amendment in April 1972, the same year Congress sent it to the states. The Equal Rights Amendment passed Congress with the aim to further pay equity, protect women against predators, and protect against pregnancy discrimination, among other rights. The amendment was not approved by the required 3/4 of the states before the deadline and was not ever ratified nationally. An art exhibit of portraits of Black Civil War soldiers is coming to West Virginia's capital. West Virginia Public Broadcasting reports that artist Shane Davidson has been touring the country with his exhibit 17 Men since 2012. The 17 portraits are based on tiny photos that were in an album once belonging to Davidson's friend's great-grandfather. The exhibit is set to come to Charleston's Craig Patton House this spring. And a company in Ohio is making footballs for the Super Bowl game. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Biden visits the site of a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh.
Across the country, there are 45,000 bridges in poor condition.
Plus, households with children need to pay attention to a letter from the IRS.
What it does do is help them get to work.
And in weather, we could see temperatures in the single digits this weekend, but a warm-up may be possible early next week. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Fallon Howard.
And I'm Lil Price, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A Pittsburgh bridge collapsed today, just hours before President Joe Biden was scheduled to speak in the city about infrastructure. Officials say at least 10 people were injured when the bridge came down, but there were no fatalities. Emily Schmidt has more about the bridge and the renewed focus it places on infrastructure safety across the country.
Friday morning, a snow-covered bridge collapsed with vehicles unable to stop before the span dropped to a park below.
It's very frightening. It wasn't one noise, it was persistent.
The collapse cut a gas line. Icy roads slowed response time and hindered rescuers, authorities said.
A daisy chain with hands just grabbing people and pulling them up.
Yet the weather may have provided a silver lining.
Thankfully, the schools were on a 2-hour delay for weather, so the traffic was less than it would have been normally on a normal day.
Officials say the bridge, seen here 3 days ago, was last inspected 4 months ago in September 2021. A State Department of Transportation website lists the overall condition as poor. The collapse comes on the same day and not far from the same area where President Biden planned to talk about the recently passed bipartisan infrastructure deal. Before he did, he visited the bridge site.
Across the country, there are 45,000 bridges in poor condition. It's just simply unacceptable. And we're going to rebuild that bridge, along with thousands of other bridges in Pennsylvania and across the country.
Officials say they are fortunate no one died here. But in a place known as the City of Bridges, this collapse is a heavy load to bear. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
President Biden is calling this plan the largest investment in the nation's bridges since the interstate highway system was established during the Eisenhower administration. Now let's head outside with forecaster Henry Groff to talk about the snow we saw this morning.
Thank you, Will. I'm outside on College Green at Ohio University, where we've seen a week of freezing temperatures and a couple days of snow. But we did see a light accumulation today, and looking on the map, we did see about 2 inches of snow here in Athens, and towards New Martinsville, we saw about 3 inches of snow. But right now, outside, it is about 26 degrees, and those temperatures are going to continue to drop overnight. Also, we do have a wind chill of about 16 degrees. That wind chill is also going to be dropping below zero overnight. Looking across the region right now, temperatures are in the low 20s across Columbus, and down south around Ironton and Ripley, it is in the low 30s. But again, those temperatures are going to be dropping rapidly overnight. Looking at the weather headlines this week and coming up on later in the forecast, we're going to be looking at frigid morning temperatures this weekend, but sunny skies are ahead for Saturday. And could we see a warm up early next week? I'm going to be handing it back to Fallon in the warm studio.
Many Chillicothe residents claim to have heard a sonic boom this week. Master Sergeant Elizabeth Halliker says the pilots were authorized to break the sound barrier during training, but they were trying to avoid it. Last night was the final time this month the 180th Fighter Wing will have a night flight in southern Ohio. Senior Master Sergeant Halliker tells the Chillicothe Gazette the Ohio Air National Guard practiced night flying Monday through Thursday. A 33-year-old man from Dayton has been convicted in the murder of Mansfield couple stemming back to November of 2019. Tyler Rogers was found guilty Thursday on 4 counts. This included aggravated murder, kidnapping, and felonious assault. Rogers will also receive involuntary manslaughter and weapons offense charges. The victims were discovered in separate homes days after they were reported missing. Rogers will be sentenced on February 11th. Deputies were called to a home in the Trace Fork Road area following reports of gunshots fired inside a home with children and adults inside. Jackson County Sheriff Tony Boggs tells WSAZ that when police arrived, they found a 32-year-old Matthew Elkins in the front yard with a loaded handgun. Shortly after, Elkins placed the handgun to his head, causing deputy to fire 1 round and hit Elkins in the hand, causing him to drop the gun. Elkins was then transported to the hospital. After release, the sheriff says he will be taken to the South Central Regional Jail on endangerment charges. A debate over a penalty for adults smoking with children in the car is underway in the West Virginia Senate. Senate Bill 139 passed through the Health and Human Resource Committee Thursday and will make it a misdemeanor to smoke in the car with a child under 16. Senator Mike Azinger says he thinks parents should have the right to smoke in their car with their kids if they want to. But Senator Tom Tekuba is a Charleston lung doctor and says the bill is inspired by a patient who lost half of her lung function. The bill is planned to be renewed by the Judiciary Committee.
Today is the last day to apply for disaster unemployment for victims of the tornadoes that went through Kentucky last month. According to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, applicants must be unable to receive other kinds of employment aid. Applicants must also explain how, where, and when their job was lost. Residents of 16 different counties listed throughout the state of Kentucky are eligible, and residents must turn in applications by the end of the day to be considered for aid from the state. Russian forces are building up to full strength at the Ukrainian border. And the assault-style rifle used by Kyle Rittenhouse will be destroyed. This and more when Newswatch returns.